Yeah, it's getting pretty dry around here. See, the lawn is all dying over here. And not too good over here either. Anyways, corn is looking okay still. But anyways, on to the important stuff. Right, tough? Chit chat, kitty cat. Today's project, and maybe for the next couple of days, is to clean up this harness a bit. And by that I don't mean washing it. I mean pulling out stuff that I don't need in the harness anymore. And the first thing of that is going to be the airbag stuff. And I'm hoping it's going to be fairly simple. I'm hoping that it just ties into the panel here electrically, just for power, and then runs through here and down to here, and that's hopefully it. But before I cut a single wire, I'm going to strip the harness back to here, and then I'll go from there and see what this looks like. If I can pull this out, bring it all the way back out to here, then I think I'm golden. But this looks like a fairly thick wire here, if I'm aiming the camera, as compared to here. So unless there's some damn thick power wires here, I might be in trouble here. We'll see how we go. Okay, so I thought I'd just go through what I've done so far so that I can eliminate the airbag stuff out of the harness. So I traced through, and in this case it's fairly easy because the airbag wires are encased in this yellow tape. And I traced it through to here, where I can remove that piece. And down, there was also another segment right here that breaks off into two different wires. One's a black wire, and one's the orange wire with the black stripe. Now the black wire, or brown wire, sorry, comes through into the cluster harness right here, and it's a pretty good guess that that was meant to go to the idiot light. The corresponding terminal on here is that one, and you can trace it through, which is what I did, and then I just rang it out over here where it terminated to confirm that it was the right one, and it was. And my suspicions were confirmed, because if I hold that up to light, you'll see the airbag light is lighting up in that cluster. So that's a pretty good guess that I'm not going to have a problem deleting that wire. Now, I probably should do a little bit of other checking, just to make sure that there isn't some sort of a matrix that all those lights are part of, before I go and cut this one out of the harness. As a matter of fact, I'll pop that out of the connector and leave it intact before I do anything, just in case. You never know. Now, the other thing I said was, well, I can be a little bit smarter about this. I see this is I can't find it anymore, but it was the orange wire with the black stripe coming out of that location there. And I said, well, where's it coming through to here? And actually, you see an orange wire with the black stripe on the diagnostic connector here. So I trace that back to here where it would plug into the airbag computer, and there's a orange wire with a black stripe there. Now it's a pretty good guess that they would be the same, but you never know. So I actually stuck a pin in there and rang it out with my multimeter, and indeed those were connected. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to strip the remainder of the wire off the harness here, or tape off the harness here, and before I actually disconnect anything, actually maybe even before I do that, I'm going to go and have a look behind here and see where the yellow wire splits off, and see what I can delete from there. Now if that's just tying into the fuse block, like I would guess, and there's a pretty good guess that there's going to be a specific fuse for this. I don't see it immediately, but nevertheless I'm sure there's one of them is there. I'll pull it out of there and we'll go from there. There's actually two ECM ones, so I'm going to guess it's going to be one of these two ECM ones. Yeah, there's ECM B and ECM 1. So it's a pretty good guess that it's going to be one or the other of those. Okay, well I'm going to do that, and then I'll show you the results of that. So there you go, that's the airbag portion of the harness edited out. I did carefully mark everything so that I knew where it came from, just in case for whatever reason I had to put it back in there. Some of these plugged into the back of the fuse panel, like these SIR ones. That was where they were plugged into. And some plugged into the other modules like that. Well, I called it black module A, but I believe it's the beeping module. And some of the other ones went obviously fairly far. That one was the one into the harness, or sorry, into the cluster. That one went to the diagnostic module. But for the most part, it seemed pretty straightforward. That one went to the driver's seat, which I also edited that out as well, because there's no point in keeping this wire hooked up when half of it was cut, because it only went between the black module here and this connection on the airbag module. So I'm gonna, well, I won't biff this, but I'll put in my box of junk. Well, it's not junk because that's actually my computer, but nevertheless, I'll put it in here, stashed off to the side in case I need to recover some of it, because it may or may not be necessary for this to appear at the diagnostic port. I don't think so, and I would certainly hope that I don't have to have, you know, this whole mess there just to, you know, satisfy the diagnostic port. But you know, never hurts to not throw something away. Otherwise, next victims are going to be some of the other things that I can see not being necessary, like the column solenoid. I'm going to trace that out, see where that goes, and edit that one out. And I'm going to go by color. Here, you know, one is obviously a ground, and then there's a green with a white stripe. So I do have my service manual, but the service manual isn't great. It didn't have anything related to the airbag harness in it in terms of a schematic, and I'm assuming that's for liability reasons. As well, I'm going to source out what and where this goes, and probably edit out a lot of it, because I suspect it's also related to some lockout or something like that, but I actually am not sure, so I can't say for sure. Oh, I know what this is. I remember now. This is the high beam controller. That's right, because it had the stock mounted high beam, and there was a shaft that drove down into here. So I'm actually not editing that out now that I remember exactly what it was. I should really label that then. And then I'll just change that to, I'll probably have to extend the leads, but I'll just change that to the floor mount dimmer that is standard with these trucks. So, yeah, see, it does pay to label these things, and that was one of the ones I did not label. So that one does not need to be edited out. I think that will probably be most of the ones I'm going to edit out, because I think I'm going to leave, you know, one of the ones that, you know, might be debatable whether you'd edit it out or not, and that's the radio. I think I'll leave that one in and go from there. Now there's some other ones that I actually want to know what they are. This one's a good example. This looks like fairly heavy wiring, and I suspect it's a plug for the trailer wiring harness. It was unused in the harness as far as I recall. So I'm going to just trace that one out and just see where that one goes, just for curiosity's sake. As well, there was another one that I wanted to trace out here that was an unidentified one. Yeah, I should really look for one of the unmarked ones. It doesn't matter right now anyways. There's some ones like that one that were buried in the harness that weren't connected to anything, and I'm presuming wasn't important. Somebody's into mischief there. Distracting me because I can hear her rustling around over there, inspecting receipts and bills, I guess. Anyways, guys, I won't bore you any longer here. Okay, so I'm going to just tell you some of my thought process so far. So I've been looking at some of these things. First, I started with the column solenoid, because that's obviously one I want to edit out, because I don't have it, that safety feature in that column, because I didn't use that column. And I traced out where that came back to, and I was looking at it, and the black is just a ground wire. I could verify that by going to a known verified good ground. And the green with white comes through into this connector, which is the connector for my brake switch. And by bringing out the brake switch, I verified that the connector it goes into is this one here, which is only ever connected to this one if the brake pedal isn't applied. Or maybe if it, yeah, isn't applied, I believe. So, anyways, so you look at that and you say to yourself, okay, well, what's the corresponding wire to that? Well, that's the light blue with black stripe. Trace that one out to the neutral safety switch right here, going into the neutral safety switch, which I find kind of odd. But it must mean that that's deriving power from the neutral safety switch. Or, yeah, that could be the only way it is. Just looking at the way that is right there. So I'm going to have to do a little bit more ringing out. Make sure that this line doesn't go somewhere else and see what's going on. Just in case that is power into here and to that, which would make some measure of sense. So we'll see. I can't find light blue with black on my wiring diagram. I hate to say it, but I might have to go and pop for a proper set of service manuals for this van, and see what I've got for schematics in that. I actually, you know, I think I did buy some diesel manuals. Maybe I'll go and grab those and have a good look, because maybe they've got proper schematics rather than this, which is kind of marginal, and some of the stuff doesn't even seem to correspond correctly and all. In any case, I've been ringing out some other stuff on here, and the middle two sets of connectors on here on the brake switch also are only connected when the brakes are not applied, but they are independent of the other two sets. And the final set are only connected when the brakes are applied. And looking at the color coding for those, they're orange and white. And if I come into here and I look at that, that does correspond correctly to the stoplight switch here. So I think that as long as I can figure out what the pink with a white stripe and the, well, actually it's a purple, are going to in this two center connectors to see what they're for, I may be able to just use a standard brake pedal switch like I really wanted to use, since I'm going to delete, you know, a fair bit of this stuff. That's only important because obviously I didn't use the pedal box from the van. Apart from that, this connector doesn't seem to correspond to anything. So I'll have to figure that one out. And anything else isn't important at this moment in time. I'm going to keep hacking away on this tomorrow, but for the moment I think I'm going to shut down for today. Hopefully this has been somewhat interesting for it. You know, I know a lot of people are intimidated by the electrics. I've always done some measure of electronics. That's my education, was in electrical engineering. But it's not like I've made a practical application of it for the last 20 years. I've been doing computers for the last 20 years. Only for about 2 years of my working life did I actually use it when I worked at a battery company. Anyways, that's my life history. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and hopefully it was somewhat interesting here.